All right. So now we're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets. They are projected for 44.5 wins, putting them in third in the West. Some draft picks or draft selections of note are Zeke Naji, Facundo Campazzo, and R.J. Hampton. They picked up Jamichael Green and Isaiah Hartenstein in the offseason, and then they lost Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee, and Torrey Craig. They have no injuries of which to speak of, and their coach is still Mike Malone.
Those were like critical pieces to their bench that they lost. Like Torrey Craig was pretty good for them, like just good role players coming off the bench. Plumlee obviously been backing up Jokic for a long time.
Yeah.
This is a team that I think isn't being talked about enough considering what they did in the postseason.
Yeah.
And they got two guys, one of them being this gentleman right here who's laying it up on LeBron right now. And the other one is the Joker, who is super unique for his position and the way he plays. And these guys they've been for a few years now the team that's like in the top four that you're like, oh, what are they doing? Like it almost looks out of place that they're there. And then this past postseason, they came back from two straight 3-1 deficits to find themselves in the conference finals, shocking the Clippers.
Yep.
And it's in large part due to Jokic and Jamal Murray, who I think are going to once again take another step forward this year, especially Jamal Murray. These are Jokic's stats, but like Jokic here, 20, 10 rebounds, 7 assists from the center position is pretty damn good. If he could score some more points and get that up to 25, even better, especially because of his ability to shoot the three ball.
Yeah.
But this is my guy this year, I think, to make the next big.
You think he'll get like most improved player or some shit?
Maybe. He has to be, like right now, if he jumps from 18 to like, where is he at in the playoffs?
He was like 26 or some shit like that. It was crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like I wanted to get playoffs are getting 26, 5 rebounds, 6.6 assists. If he can get up to that, this is your most improved player. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And if they do that, why can't they be the number one team?
50, 40, 90.
Like, because this is the type of team I could see caring about that sort of thing. Like, wanting to get the home court advantage, right?
And they're younger. They're a younger team. They have that.
Yes, they want the success of the regular season. If they don't look at it, I think, yet as something where it's a hindrance to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, playing those back-to-back games aren't going to affect them as much as the older teams.
Right.
Yeah.
And Denver historically has always been a tougher place to play.
Yep.
Because of like their
atmosphere.
Their
altitude.
There we
go.
Smart person. But I love the Nuggets. I really don't see why they can't be the number one seed in the West this season.
It's because there's this one team in LA that kind of just holds shit down.
That kind of also doesn't as we talked about on their preview, we're not sure how much they're going to come out with their foot on the gas pedal, right?
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is this year at least the home court advantage is going to matter again. So, because you can assume that towards the end of the season you probably get some fans in, maybe at 25% capacity. Even like because football is doing it where they have 25% capacity in their arenas and shit like that.
They're mostly outdoors. Some domes, but they're mostly outdoors.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
But I think they still care about home court advantage for sure.
Right.
And you just got the Lakers are just better, man. Like that's just unfortunate, but I do look at Denver as a top 3 seed in the West. I think the reason they're not talked about as much is because I think they have peaked in people's minds, and in my mind, they peaked. I just don't see them getting to the finals personally, and what I like about like recording and saying this shit is like towards the end of the year, it might not even look like this, and then they might get to the NBA finals, and we get to look back and see me sound stupid as hell. But I just personally think that they peaked, and I don't think they'll make the NBA finals. Not with the team that they have. I think they need something else.
So that's an interesting point that I was going to bring up next. Is this team like one of those big moves away, like we were talking about with Milwaukee when James Harden was on the table there for a cup of coffee? Like what if this team flipped it and said, we'll give you Gary Harris, Michael Porter Jr., and a couple of first-round picks for James Harden?
Oh, no.
Like, that would be insane.
Because the way this team already works, it's kind of like weird ISO ball anyways, like the way that they do it already. So having a third, it's already like it's hard to do. 2 guys have an ISO ball, like because the ball you only can share it so much.
Fit is one thing. I'm more saying in terms of upgrading. They need to do that one upgrade piece. They need to make that happen.
What if
okay.
Michael Porter Jr. upgrades himself? Is that enough of an upgrade?
Well, give me a stat line.
I don't know. I don't know what his other stats were, but I just remember him not being ass in the playoffs, so maybe he can make that jump.
He did speak up for them too during the playoffs, and it made a difference.
Yeah, but they need like a solid like they don't really need that much weapons, but like if they could get like a Klay Thompson would be perfect for them. Like having that anchor on defense, or give you a really good defensive player, and then a guy that could just erupt at any point.
Klay Thompson would be good for 95% of NBA teams.
Yeah, of course. but like that's always like what especially with a team like this who has. It's not like their offense is lacking. It's the defense. Like you need like a key defensive like anchor.
I got one for you, and he's not necessarily a defensive anchor, but he does play both ways. And the guy's name is Chris Middleton, who I think is one of the, I called him the worst number 2 in the NBA during the Bucks preview.
Yeah.
But he does fit that, he would be a 3-man, right?
And you could probably trade Michael Porter Jr. or something like that with something else.
You did Michael Porter Jr. in a pick for Middleton, I think you know what I mean? I think
that'll be favorable for both teams because you get a player that could probably score, get that scoring.
I just think for Middleton they're going to have to give up more because he's an all-star. He's already an all-star, but either way, I think that would be a nice spot and it's realistic. I'm thinking of just a guy like that. Or
I definitely feel like they need a piece. Cool. I don't see that team winning. I just can't see them beating the Lakers in a 7-game series.
Right. I think that they're the team that could give. I just think they're the team that has the most mismatch problems for of any team. They can screw up a game plan pretty easily because of their ability to erupt offensively and get into that almost Warriors style chaotic offense with how fast everything moves and how much if Murray gets super hot.
I can see what you're saying.
I'm really interested to see if Murray can take that next step because I genuinely don't know if he can.
Yeah. No. During that playoff run, we thought it was just a hot streak.
Yeah, I did because historically that's what he's been is a streaky guy.
But one thing that I'm very curious about, and no one's really talking about this going into this series, going into the this season. Yeah. And I don't know if it's gonna matter as much because there's not gonna be that much fans. But when the fans come back, if these players are gonna look different, because a lot of people are questioning: is it because the lack of fans in the stands that make these players look like this? You know what I mean? Play this consistent, play this great.
When we were about to come into the bubble, I talked to you about this on the show. And I was kind of shut up pretty quick for that because of how high the level of play was. You know what I mean? Just throughout
Yeah.
the entire bubble process. But I
Oh
do
yeah, the
there
intensity.
is some,
Yeah.
there is something to be said for what you're saying, and whether that pressure, especially for some of the younger guys, um,
Yeah,
whether
because
that
that's
pressure.
just different. That's not. It doesn't have to do like the bubble was more straight up skill, like which was awesome because like for people who just love watching basketball, that shit was pure beauty, you know.
Yeah,
But in terms of like the other shit, like the things that mess with you, like when you're gonna take that big shot at the end of games, like and having that crowd
watching
going
10,000
crazy.
people rise to their feet
Yeah,
before you're about
exactly, and wanting you to fail. Like, are you gonna hit that? You know what I mean? Like could Anthony Davis hit a big like when was that? That was that game 3. That would have been at Denver.
the
Like, would
buzzer
he
beater.
have? Yeah, that buzzer beater game, or maybe it was game 2. It might have been game 2. So maybe it was it would have been
Yeah.
in
No, I know
LA.
what you're talking about. I understand
Yeah,
what
but like having that moment like that, that's huge. You know what I mean? Like as in the Western Conference Finals, that's the biggest shot of his career.
I
But
think.
like,
Yeah, I think
what?
Jamal Murray is a great case for something like that, where we
Yeah,
see something
exactly.
shocking from him. I think Jokic is fine, but I think somebody like
Yeah, I
Jamal
agree.
Murray, that's very interesting. But also, if I flip that coin 180, right? Maybe this experience gave him more confidence than like irrational confidence. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? In which case, don't got to worry about that shit. You know,
Yeah,
because he was up and coming before the pandemic. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So,
But
but I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know who. Um, I do agree with you that as of this second, they are one piece short from making that next step. But I'm taking the over, 100%. I think this is a 50-win ball club as well. Um,
I don't.
I
I just
like
can't
them
see
and the Lakers
multiple.
being. I like them and the Lakers being over 50 wins. If I was going to pick two teams out of the West, that'd be it. And then in the East, I could see um, Milwaukee, of course, because they care too much about the regular season, and that's it. Only those really three teams I could see making it to that 50-win mark.
Yeah. So it's awesome to see how much you've changed your mind about Jamal Murray, like from that playoff run. But that
I'm
was the same thing with
I
yeah,
my stances and opinions are very breakable at any point.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about like you can't that, and that's the great thing about actually being a fan of like players and not
Yeah,
really or like fan of the game too. Like you know
yeah.
you can't you're not gonna be like unreasonably biased. You know what I mean? Like if you see a dude's going crazy, like you gotta respect it. Like
Yeah. That's another
I
thing. Fuck you, old heads who think being a
just,
fan of players is whack.
talk
Fuck
your
that.
shit, Russ.
Fuck you. Fuck everything that you stand for. The league will not crumble if the game is like 2K. Do you like playing 2K? Yes. Do I like playing 2K? Yes. It'll be fine. Are you happy with LeBron James and Anthony Davis on the Lakers? Yes. And that happened very quickly.
And guess what? The league was like 2K for 40 years. Like what the fuck? We had 2 top 5 players of all time on the same team, and just
Multiple
because the
times.
organization did it doesn't mean shit. All right. So
Pisses me off. Being a fan of players is chill. And if anyone
yeah,
tells you it's not, they can fuck off. Fuck them. So that's my PSA for the day. I'm taking the over.
I got the over as well.